What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host Alex, joined today by my host Ryan. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for letting us have one more bye week. I was in Brooklyn for the week, so we were unable to do the podcast, but it's good to be back for a recap of week 8 and heading into week 9.
Yes, my man's taking care of work. Ryan told me about this segment that they do on the NFL Network, I think. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
And it's basically where they recap all the games using like 3 seconds, but we're going to do it more of like recap each game in a sentence from last week just to make things go quicker so the podcast won't last forever for you guys. So, I guess we can jump right into it, right, man?
Yeah. Did you want to go first, or did you want me to go first?
I figure we'll just go game by game, but I'll let you go first each game, and then I'll follow you.
Okay.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so first game, the Redskins lost to the Vikings 19-9.
In my opinion, Vikings at home didn't do exactly what they needed to. I was impressed with the Redskins keeping it close.
I think the Redskins are tanking, and that's why they pulled. Or did Keenum get pulled? Sorry, I know we're supposed to keep this to a sentence, but did he get pulled or get injured?
He's injured.
Oh, well, never mind. Forget my sentence. Dwayne Haskins sucks. There's my sentence. All right, on to the next one. Seahawks beat the Falcons 27-20.
Too close for comfort if I'm Seattle.
Dumpster fire in Atlanta? I mean, how has their coach not been fired?
Oh, it's coming.
Next, the Colts beat the Broncos 15-13.
Yet another one. Too close for comfort, but Jacoby Brissett is low-key one of the most athletic quarterbacks that no one's talking about.
The Colts are real, and people should be worried.
Good one.
Next, Titans beat the Bucks 27-23.
Move on from Jameis. It's time. Also, move on from Mariota.
Bye-bye, Mariota. And bye-bye, Winston. Yeah, facts. Both of those, man, what a draft class. All right.
The 2015 QB class was atrocious.
Trash. All right, Saints beat the Cardinals 31-9.
They are who we thought they were. Drew Brees is still that man.
The Saints are real. Rams beat the Bengals 24-10.
Snooze fest. Tank on tank. Move up the Bengals-Dolphins game to primetime. We want to see someone get their first win. Who can tank harder?
Todd Gurley is officially done, and Darnell Henderson needs to be the starter, and the Bengals are tanking. Next game, this one's going to make Ryan sad. Eagles beat the Bills 31-13.
Zero run defense. We are known for our run defense, and we didn't show up. So, easy win for the Eagles.
Must win for the Eagles to keep pace in their division.
I like it.
Next one, Chargers beat the Bears 17-16.
The kicking woes continue. That was a terrible game, and honestly, at this point in the season, you're wondering how long Trubisky and how long Nagy is going to be in their job.
Should have made a trade if I'm Chicago. That's what I have to say about that game. It should have made a trade. Trubisky threw it like 50 times, and you lost by a point. But some were blaming the coach. So, Lions beat the Giants 31-26.
That was a must-win for the Lions, in my opinion. A little too close for comfort if I'm them. But, I mean, at the same time, Kerryon Johnson is on IR, so I'll give him a little leeway.
New York, I know you lost, but you got yourself a quarterback. Daniel Jones had 3 touchdowns, and that was a series. Obviously, this is not the year, but you got yourself a quarterback. Be happy. All right, Jaguars beat the Jets 29-15.
We cannot close the playoff door on the Jaguars. They are still a team, and they're in the hunt in the AFC South. Jets are trash.
One and done, Adam Gase. Bye-bye.
Love it. Actually, no, I don't. Keep him there.
The shellacking that the 49ers put on the Panthers, 51-13.
It's time for you to be sad. Nick Bosa is that guy. He is better than Joey. He is the best Bosa. Also, Kyle Allen is human. He can throw interceptions.
49ers, your defense is going to win you a championship because it sure as hell ain't going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll just say that. Texans beat the Raiders 27-24.
Deshaun Watson could be the MVP this year. That no-look pass was filthy. J.J. Watt is possibly in an Andrew Luck situation.
Another losing effort for the Raiders, but you got something. Keep building. Patriots beat the Browns 27-13.
I still don't think this Patriots team is real. I think they haven't run into any real challenges yet other than Buffalo, and they barely came out alive with that one. I like them this week against the Raiders. Not the Raiders. Every R team except the one that they're actually playing. The Ravens. Sorry.
So, Darnold was seeing ghosts against the Patriots. Well, I think the Patriots' defense is a bunch of ghosts. I agree with Ryan. I don't think this team is as legit. I think their defense might be legit, but the offense, they don't have enough.
I like that wordplay.
I know. I was trying to work something there, but then I was like, dang, the only reason they're good is because of their defense. So, and then Sunday Night Football, the Packers beat the Chiefs 31-24.
This Chiefs team is good. Matt Moore is quarterback, and they still almost beat the really good Green Bay Packers.
Both these teams are good because
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers had no receivers, and the Chiefs are doing it without their quarterback. I could legitimately see this being a Super Bowl, but that's for the future. And then Monday night, last night, the Steelers beat the Dolphins 27-14.
Take the Dolphins out of prime time. I know what I said just a few minutes ago, but no one wants to see this. Brian Flores is clearly trying to tank. Sending an all-out blitz on 3rd and long to end a 2-minute drill.
Dude, it was...
Come on, man.
This is the one game where I feel like I can't spin just a sentence because Dolphins, you could have won. Clearly you're tanking. Also, I agree with Booger on Monday night. You're not tanking for Tua. You're tanking for Chase Young. But
I agree.
You got yourself something in Preston Williams in that running back. But that will wrap up our recap for last week. I feel like that was really quick. What was that? 8 minutes. All right. That will probably be what we do from now on, just because we got to talk about each game. And we recapped them. Now, Ryan is going to brief us on all the news because the trade deadline was today at 4 o'clock. And some people moved. Some big names didn't, but some other people did. So, Ryan, go ahead, man. Start breaking it down for us.
Thanks, man. This was a very boring trade deadline. I felt like I was just anticipating so many big moves today that just wound up not happening. But I guess I will dive into the moves that did happen. At the end of last week, we had some wide receivers changing teams. Emmanuel Sanders, who has been with the Broncos his entire career, has now been traded to the 49ers. He had a great first game with the Niners, helped them win, unfortunately, against Alex's Panthers. I think he's going to fit in great there, but you kind of wonder who's going to be the odd man out there because now they have 4 or 5 really good receivers. They have Marquise Goodwin, Emmanuel Sanders, like I was just saying, Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuel, and Jalen Hurd. The last 2 are both rookies who they just drafted, so they're obviously going to want to give them a chance. Dante Pettis is only in his 2nd year in the NFL, and Marquise Goodwin just got a really big contract, so you kind of have to wonder who's on the outs here moving forward. Anything you'd like to add before I move on, Alex?
I just love the trade for the 49ers. Honestly, I love it for both teams because apparently, according to John Elway, Sanders didn't want to be there. There was some sort of altercation after the Titans game. No one knows what it is. But it seems like he didn't want to be there. 49ers, you get a veteran. And I don't think Sanders is going to play for that much longer. So, I mean, you get him for 2 or 3 years, and he can be a real leader for that wide receiver core. So, yeah, I love it for both teams.
I agree. I love it for Sanders, who's now, I believe, 30 or 31. Definitely on the back end of his career trying to get a ring. So I can see why he didn't want to be on the 2-6 Broncos, especially in the midst of their rebuild. I think he's in a great situation now on the undefeated 49ers team. Moving on, we had the dumpster fire that Alex mentioned, the Atlanta Falcons sending their second or third best receiver, depending on how you look at it, Mohamed Sanu, up to the Patriots. This was kind of a double move because in doing so, the Patriots also announced that they're putting top wide receiver Josh Gordon on IR and waiving him as soon as he's healthy. This opens up Gordon to sign with another team when he is healthy. So that will be interesting. And I am kind of curious to see what this offense is going to look like with Mohamed Sanu, Julian Edelman, and a healthy N'Keal Harry.
I agree with you. I'm also very curious to see where Josh Gordon will go because it seems like he could come off of IR in like the next 2 weeks. But I feel like they gave up a lot for Sanu, like a second-round pick. I know it's a Patriots pick, but I feel like you could have gotten him for a lot cheaper.
I agree, and Sanu is definitely a bit older. I think the Falcons kind of knew that they could kind of work a needy or wide receiver needy Patriots team for a little bit more than he's worth. But, I mean, I think it's a great trade for the Falcons, who clearly aren't going anywhere but want to hang on to Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. And then they're in the midst of their rebuild, so they get a pretty low second-rounder, but it's a great pick on the second day of the draft.
True. Also, it's going to be curious to see where he lines up because I know with Atlanta he normally lined up in the slot, but that's Edelman's spot. So I wonder if they're going to take some time to move him to the outside or if they're just going to rotate who lines up in the slot.
I'm really not ready for these trick plays that they're going to pull because, as we all know, Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. But Julian Edelman was a quarterback in college, and they've had many trick plays where he's thrown the ball. And now they bring in Mohamed Sanu, who's also one of the best throwing wide receivers in the game. So I can see them honestly running like a double, triple option where they throw it to either one of Sanu or Edelman and just slinging it downfield to like N'Keal Harry or Philip Dorsett or someone like that. So that'll be really interesting to watch.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
Moving on, we had some trades yesterday. Honestly, yesterday was a little bit more exciting than today was. The Miami Dolphins continued their fire sale by sending starting running back Kenyon Drake to the running back needy Arizona Cardinals. I think for a 6th-round pick that could possibly turn into a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Depending on the results of the season. I think it's a great pickup for the Cardinals, who are now dealing with injuries with both David Johnson and Chase Edmonds. It also kind of gives them like a quick fill-in because Kenyon Drake is a free agent after this season, so there's no really strings attached to this trade. So I kind of like it for both teams.
Yeah, that's the only reason I like it for the Cardinals is because he's a free agent and you don't have to keep him or pay him. But yeah, I like it for both. I mean, Miami, you're tanking, so get as many picks as you can. Cardinals, you need a running back to play this Thursday, so.
Exactly. Moving on, we had another team in the AFC East send a player. This time it was in the same city. We had the New York Jets trade to the New York Giants for the first time ever, sending defensive lineman Leonard Williams, who is a former first-round pick in 2015, to their cross-city counterparts. I guess you could say they're not really rivals. They only play once every 4 years, but I think it was a great trade for the Giants because all they gave up was a 2023 third and a 2021 fifth for a former first-round pick who becomes a free agent after this year. I think that's a great trade. It's looking kind of bleak, but the Giants are still in the division technically, depending on how the Cowboys and Eagles finish their season. Both of those teams have very hard schedules moving forward, and I don't think the door is quite closed on the Giants yet. But they might be just looking to build for next year.
See, I feel like this could be a good or a bad trade for the Giants. If you re-sign him, I think it's a bad trade. He's not a pass rusher. He's more of just a run stuffer. And so you could use him. Like, I guarantee you he'll play Sunday night when they play or Monday night when they play the Cowboys to stop Zeke. But I also like it for the Jets. He wasn't going to re-sign with you, and you have his replacement with Quinnen Williams, so why not get 2 draft picks?
I don't know. I kind of like the whole Leonard Williams right next to Dexter Lawrence scenario, but we'll see how it plays out for the Giants. Moving on, I guess the smallest trade of yesterday was the Cleveland Browns sent starting linebacker Jannard Avery to the Eagles to bolster that injured linebacker group. I think it was like a 4th or a 5th round pick.
It's a 4th rounder in 2021.
Okay, so that's kind of stupid.
Yep.
I think the Browns fans that thought they fleeced the Eagles are sadly mistaken. I think you're going to end up missing one of your starting linebackers, and I think that was a great pickup for the Eagles.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The Eagles need all the help they can get on defense. But from what I've seen on from Eagles fans on Twitter, it seems like they're happy with the trade, and they're really happy that they didn't make a big splash and just blow up the whole team. It looks like they're pretty content to ride with who they have, at least for the rest of this year.
Exactly. Last trade, I guess, in the news was a cap dump. The Los Angeles Rams are sending Aqib Talib to the Miami Dolphins for a late round pick. No, actually, they sent Aqib Talib in a 5th round to the Dolphins for a late round pick. This frees up cap space for the Rams to sign Jalen Ramsey for a long-term deal. It also allows Miami to kind of use up that cap for this year and also just get picks where they can get them. I like the trade for both sides because Miami is clearly not going anywhere this season. So what do you have to say about it, Alex?
I don't necessarily like this trade. I don't see why the Rams didn't do this in the offseason, this upcoming offseason, because I mean, Ramsey's going to shut down one side of the field, but who's your next best corner?
Well, the thing is this upcoming draft is a very cornerback-heavy group. Unfortunately for the Rams, they don't have a first-round pick in either of the next 2 upcoming drafts. So they'll have to pick that guy up in the 2nd if that's where they're going.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if you're trying to make a run this season for the Super Bowl, you kind of just exploited your defense a little bit. Because now you only have one good corner. You have Ramsey, and then on the other side, I think it will probably be Colby.
Nicole Roby-Coleman?
Yeah, Colby. I can't say his name, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he's more of a slot guy, so it'll be curious to see who they put on the other side. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why you didn't just wait until the offseason to trade Aqib Talib and then get your money, or Chris Harris Jr., and then get your money for Ramsey.
I agree. Yeah, that was kind of my concern when they traded Marcus Peters away, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how this Rams defense handles that. That's just something we'll have to watch in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah.
So now I wanted to do a little speculation game with you. I'm going to ask you to fill in the blanks with all the trades that didn't happen today. So I'm going to give you this sentence and you fill in the blanks here.
Okay.
I'm glad that blank didn't trade blank.
The Jets didn't trade Jamal Adams because that would have been a big mistake because he's a superstar and he's a stud. So why would you trade him?
I like it. I couldn't agree more with you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say I'm glad the Chargers didn't trade Melvin Gordon.
That's just because you didn't want him on the Bills.
That's not necessarily true. I would have welcomed him on the Bills. I would have been happy. I would have trusted the process. But I like it more for the Chargers because I don't think the door is completely closed on them yet. I think that if they have a relatively easy schedule coming up, that they're going to need as many playmakers as they can get. And honestly, having a backfield with Austin Eckler, Troymaine Pope, and Melvin Gordon doesn't seem too bad. And Justin Jackson. So I like the running back group, and I think that they might be able to make something out of this season, but it all depends on the play of Phillip Rivers and the play calling.
Yeah, that's true. They did just fire their offensive coordinator this morning.
I was just gonna say that. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, they did fire their offensive coordinator. I kind of like the call. I honestly don't know why Anthony Lynn hasn't been calling the plays because he is an offensive-minded head coach. But hopefully we'll see more of that soon to come.
Yep.
I had one more fill in the blank. Blank should have traded for blank.
Green Bay should have traded for A.J. Green or Emmanuel Sanders before the 49ers did.
I agree. I'm going to go with the Browns should have traded for Trent Williams.
Apparently, they tried to.
Oh, yeah. They've been trying to for a long time. But apparently the Redskins' asking price was just way too high. They were asking for a first-round pick and Denzel Ward, which, as we all know, was the 4th overall pick in the 2018 draft and has been a shutdown corner ever since he entered the league. He was a Pro Bowler last year. No chance the Browns are giving him up. Definitely one of their cornerstones on defense, so I can't blame the Browns here.
But here's my thing, like, what are the Redskins going to do? Because it just came out that he is supposed to report to the team, but he doesn't plan on playing. So, like, he's just going to keep sitting out until faking injuries until he becomes a free agent, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think he becomes a free agent after this year, and he's just going to leave. And there is going to be such a huge market for him that he's going to end up making all the money that the Redskins should have given him all along.
I'll tell you right now, the Texans should empty the whole bank for him.
You think so?
Yeah, protect Deshaun Watson at all costs.
I don't know, but with the Texans, you also have to kind of check your wallet a little bit because in a year or two, Deshaun Watson's going to need a big contract. And also, they just traded for Laramie Tunsil to start the season, and he's been playing too terribly. I'd focus on kind of building up the interior line.
No, I don't think the Chargers have the cap room. I was going to say, what about the Chargers, but I don't know if they have the room.
Well, if they let Melvin Gordon walk, they might. Who else would need him? Honestly, the Patriots.
Yeah, but they're never going to pay somebody that much.
You're right. They don't do that.
Probably the 49. That's who will need them, the 49ers. But
yeah, because I think their left tackle is pretty old and is about to retire.
He's injured. Their left and right tackle are injured.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any more news for tonight, or?
Smaller news. Some special teams news. The Falcons and the Patriots both released their kickers today. I don't really know why. The Falcons just kind of suck overall, so I don't see them improving all that much by replacing Matt Bryant with Younghoe Koo. But I also don't understand why the Patriots cut Mike Nugent, and I haven't seen them sign a replacement as of yet. So don't really know what to replace them with.
Who did they sign? They signed somebody. Hang on, I'm looking it up. I know why they cut Mike Nugent because he has missed a ton of extra points. They signed Nick Folk.
Oh, Nick Folk. Yeah. I did see that. I lied.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of a lateral move. Both of them are kind of not the greatest, and their kicker, Steven Gostkowski, who's currently on IR, is also not very good, so they'll probably be looking for a younger kicker in this year's draft. Probably undrafted free agent, but we'll see.
Nothing would be more karma than for them to lose in the playoffs because of their kicker. They've won so many titles because of him.
That would be beautiful.
All right. You got anything else for us, or can we jump into these 5 games we're going to highlight?
I think we could jump into the highlighted games. That was fun filling in the blanks.
It was. I like that segment. So let's start with the first one. We got the Pats taking on the Ravens. I believe this is Sunday Night Football.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and the Patriots are 4-point favorites. This game is in Baltimore.
If I am the Ravens, I love this game. I think this is a great time to just kind of punch the league in the throat. This is the time to really kind of prove themselves. That kind of just says, hey, we are for real. If Lamar Jackson can pull the upset off at home, I think I'm very happy and I'm very proud as a Ravens fan, and I feel a lot more confident heading into the postseason with this guy leading my team. As for the Patriots on the other side, I think you really have to kind of manipulate them on the offensive side of the ball, and also just keep doing what you're doing on defense. Make Lamar Jackson throw some bad passes, really pressure him, and kind of get him to run a little bit. Because if you take away the passing offense, they don't really have much.
I think I'm just gonna keep it short. I think the Ravens win. I do. I think they end the Patriots' undefeated season. And I think Lamar runs crazy on this defense. I think this is the first time that people are going to sit back and look and be like, oh, this defense actually isn't as amazing as we think they are. They've just been playing a bunch of trash quarterbacks. And, yeah.
I agree. I also forgot that we were doing predictions, and I actually didn't give them mine. But mine was going to be the same thing. I think the Ravens win this one in a very close game. This will probably be one of the best Sunday Night Football games of the year. But I think it'll be a good one, but Ravens come out on top.
Now, I will say you might want to fade me because I think the last 2 weeks that we've been doing our picks for the Unfiltered website, I have gotten 8 correct over 2 weeks and went from tied for second to last. So,
nice.
I did pick the Redskins and the Dolphins to win on Thursday and Monday Night Football last week, and not my proudest moment. Now, hey, the Dolphins one was looking good until halftime.
Believe in the underdogs, man.
Hey, that's what I'm going to stick with. All right, so next we got the Lions taking on the Raiders. The Raiders are 2-point favorites. Oh, because the game's in Oakland. But yeah, the Raiders are 2-point favorites in Oakland.
This is going to be a really interesting game because I think this is a must-win for both teams. Both teams are kind of on the roster bubble in very competitive divisions. Both are dealing with a lot of injuries, and I'm going to go Raiders in a close one. I think the Raiders pull this one out just because they're a little bit more healthy than the Lions are. I think their defense is going to have to work really hard to kind of contain Matt Stafford. I almost said Matt Ryan. Wrong Matt. But they're going to have to try really hard to contain Matt Stafford. But I think in the end, they come up on top.
I think it's the complete opposite. I'm just going to take the better quarterback in this one, and I think that Matt Stafford finds a way to pull this one out.
I like it. I'd kind of like to see the Lions succeed this season.
Me too, but man, they're 3-3-1, third place. Yeah, this really is a must-win game for them, and the Lions have way higher expectations than the Raiders do. Next, we will go with the Bears take on the Eagles. The Eagles are 5-point favorites. This game is in Philadelphia. I'll start on this one. Talk about a must-win game. I think this is a must-win game for the Bears. They're dead last in that division at 3-4, and I don't know what their plan is if they lose. Because 2 weeks ago, the plan was to not run the ball at all and have Trubisky win it. Last week, it was hand the ball to David Montgomery 30 times, and you still lost. I don't know. But if I had to pick, I'm actually gonna take the Bears just because I think their defense is gonna give Wentz trouble.
Interesting. I think this is gonna be a really good game. This is actually a rematch of the wild card game last year that resulted in ruining Cody Parkey's career. But I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the other team. I think this is also a must-win game for them. This is really the time where they could start kind of uprooting the Cowboys as the first-place team in the NFC East. Excuse me, I almost said South. But I think this is their time to take the lead, and I think this is a good team, and not just because they beat the crud out of my team last week, but I knew heading into the game last week that this was a very strong 3-4 team. Their record didn't tell the full story, and I think they're about to turn things around, and I think the Eagles come out on top by at least 2 scores.
All right, you persuaded me. I'm taking the Eagles. I switched. You're right. They just have such a better offense.
What can I say, man?
Yeah, man, you're good at this. Did we? No, I don't think we did. The Chargers versus the Packers. We didn't go over that, right?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I think this is one of our last games.
Yeah, we have 2 left. The Packers are 3.5-point favorites. This game is in California, but not really, because the Chargers don't have a home field. Go ahead, man. You can go first.
I think this is going to be a repeat of the Steelers game where there's going to be, even though they're out west, I think there's going to be way more Packers fans in the crowd. I think this might be a runaway game. Actually, I think this is one of the Chargers' last hard games of the year. But I think Aaron Rodgers just runs away with it, especially if Davante Adams is playing. I'd honestly really like to see a healthy Davante Adams with an Allen Lazard and a Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Also Jimmy Graham thrown in there. But I think this offense is just going to be way too much for the tattered Chargers defense. And I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to be able to keep up. I think Phillip Rivers is definitely in the last year or 2 of his career. And I think Green Bay just piles on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it could turn into a blowout. I really, truly believe that. And I wouldn't say that this is one of the last hard games for the Chargers. Their next schedule versus the Packers, at the Raiders, against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are supposed to have Mahomes back by then.
Oh, sheesh. I thought it got easier, but
no, it really
sounds like it's just getting harder.
It really doesn't get easier at all. I mean, the only easy game they have left is the Broncos, and then it goes Jaguars, Vikings, Raiders, Chiefs.
Yikes.
And they're 3-5 right now. That's a tough one.
I don't know, man. We've seen some crazier things.
True. All right, and then we'll go with the Monday Night Football game, Cowboys versus the Giants. The Cowboys are a 7-point favorite. This game is in MetLife, and they're a 7-point favorite. That seems really high to me.
You want first on this one?
Yeah, I'll take first. If I was gonna bet on this game, I would bet the Giants, but I think the Cowboys win. Just because I think their defense is really good, the Dallas defense. And I know Daniel Jones had a great game last week. I don't think that continues. I think he makes mistakes in his first primetime game of the season and struggles.
Good analysis. I want to lean towards the Giants so bad, but I really do think the Cowboys are going to win it. But I really think it would be something if Daniel Jones could just stick it to the Cowboys, stick it to Jason Garrett, and just punch him in the throat at home. I think that would really kind of ignite all Giants fans everywhere to be really annoying for like a week until they lose the week after. But I can't do it. I can't say the Cowboys are going to lose this as much as I want to. I think the Cowboys win this too.
So one little last thing before we wrap up. Do you want to just briefly talk about our own teams' games? So like you have the Redskins and I have the Titans.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Do you want to go first?
No, you can go.
Oh, okay. I think for the Bills, after last week's loss against the Eagles, this is our last home game on a 3-game home stretch. I think you have to blow them out. There's no other choice. I think we're going to see a lot of Adrian Peterson in this game because we gave up so many run yards last week. But I think McDermott has to really choke up on the reins on that run defense, and I think we stop him. I think that if we're able to get to Dwayne Haskins or Case Keenum, whoever's playing, I think it's going to be an easy game for us. But I'd really like to see a bounce-back game for this offense and this run defense. So I'm hoping for at least a 2-score blowout.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a blowout. I think Dwayne Haskins needs a lot of time to develop. I won't say he sucks right away, but I definitely think he needs to develop. And I think if he's the starter, this defense is going to eat him alive, and he throws a lot of interceptions. I wouldn't even be shocked if Colt McCoy got in, just because I think Haskins will struggle so much.
That would make me very happy.
And then a quick breakdown of the Panthers-Titans game. I'm worried. I truly am. I think the Panthers are going to pull it out. I think they're going to rally. I also think that this is Kyle Allen's last game as the starter, mostly because the NFL has flexed not this week against the Titans, but the next week against the Green Bay Packers game to the game of the week at 4:30. And so I think they're anticipating a Cam Newton return against Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I think the key to this game is probably stop Derrick Henry, make Ryan Tannehill beat you, which who knows really with him. He's an anomaly. But yeah, and Kyle Allen, just don't turn the ball over and feed CMC. And I think the Panthers pull it out in a close one, 28-21.
I like the analysis. I'm kind of leaning the other way though. But still in favor of the Panthers. I think that Kyle Allen makes this decision for Ron Rivera a little bit harder. I think Kyle Allen blows the top off of him, specifically because they're in Carolina. I really am not high on this Titans team at all, especially with Ryan Tannehill under center. I think your defense is going to eat them alive. I think Brian Burns is going to cause all sorts of trouble. And Bruce Irvin.
Did you see that he came out and was pissed off at the coaches because during the 49ers game, he played like 10% of the snaps or something? He barely played at all.
I actually didn't see that.
Yeah, he came out after the game and was like, hey, I'm also like second in line for Rookie of the Year defensive-wise. Why am I only getting to play 10 snaps? Which I kind of agree with.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I'm just going to say that after that game by Nick Bosa, Rookie of the Year is out of the question for Brian Burns. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's locked up. It's locked up.
In one game. Yeah, but I'm super high on Brian Burns, and I'm honestly kicking myself that the Bills didn't draft him. But I mean, I think if you want to win this game, I think you got to play Brian Burns way more than 10% of the snaps. I'm glad you brought that to my attention because I had no idea. Yeah. But I think the Panthers win this game.
I appreciate it. All right, guys. We kind of kept it shorter for you, still 37 minutes, but that's because we rambled a little bit. But we will be back next week. No days off. We are recording a little bit early this week because Ryan has to go out of town again. But probably the next week too, we'll record again early. But we really appreciate it, and talk to you guys later.